Welcome to the Back to Brick Property Podcast. I'm your host, David Lamb. On this podcast, we'll be stripping property investors and business people alike back to brick to find out how their journey can help you on your journey.
This podcast is brought to you by Orange Sales and Lettings. If you know someone that is looking to sell or let a home, please get in touch. Referral fees are available. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to the Back to Brick Property Show, sponsored by Orange Sales and Lettings. I'm your host, David Lamb. Today on the show, we have Scott Steele-Morris, who is a successful digital marketer. We're going to chat today about the importance of social media as a property investor and as a business owner in general. Welcome to the show, Scott.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much, mate. I know how busy you are, so thank you for your time. So, a bit different today because my previous guests have all been purely property investors. It's been great to unravel their stories, and it's helped a lot of people. But it's nice to sort of go off on a tangent a little bit and talk about property related. So I'm going to bring on more guests that can assist people in different ways. But it's still the Back to Brick podcast, so I still want to go back to brick with you and find out how it all started, what makes you tick, etc. So yeah, let's go back to the start, mate. Okay. Where did life begin?
So yeah, from Yorkshire originally. Lived there till I was about 14. Then spent a fair bit of time moving around. A lot of things happened. Lived in Lincoln, in the northwest. Lived in Portugal for 3 years. Back to Yorkshire, and then moved to Newcastle 3 years ago. So yeah, there's been a lot of moving around, which kind of made us more susceptible to change. I think, yeah, which has obviously helped us now. A lot's happened in life, good and bad. So again, it kind of makes you who you are, more resilient. And then, yeah, it's kind of paved the way to running the business in the last 12 months.
Yeah, it's interesting that because when I was younger, probably in my early 20s, I used to think everything negative that had happened in my life previous had caused purely negative effects on my life.
Yeah.
But as you grow older and you read books and you learn about, you have more awareness of yourself, you realise that it's actually, most of the negative stuff has created the positive stuff.
100%. Yeah. Because if you think, like, nowadays it's a different generation, but we're all brought up very differently. So now you can deal with a lot more of the negative stuff now because of that upbringing. Mm-hmm. Whereas the kids nowadays are probably not getting the same, but then they can't deal with setbacks, if that makes sense.
Yeah, very much so, yeah. I do like the idea of living in Portugal, so we may come back to that.
Okay.
So what year did you say you came to Newcastle?
3 years ago, so it's 2021.
And is that you now? Do you feel settled? Is that your home?
Yeah, it's worked out really well. So I was working in healthcare when I moved up here. Had no idea about starting my own business. Obviously, I wanted a better life, but didn't know how to do it. And then I came here, and things have just worked out. Obviously, I love the place. The North East is great. People are friendly. Newcastle's a great city. Loads going on. You've got the coast, the city life. And yeah, things have worked out really well. Like, I've got a good base there, but again, I don't know what the future holds in terms of where I'm going to be and for how long.
Yeah. Well, it's not a bad thing.
No?
It's flexibility is a great thing, especially today. So, obviously, you've got a successful media business currently, but I think what gives you a bit of an advantage over other people is you do actually have somewhat of a property-based background. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I actually met Lewis when I did a sales job after the healthcare, and then he did property training, started his own sourcing business, then I joined him doing that. So for 18 months, yeah, I was kind of learning the whole property knowledge. It's kind of a mad world, really. If you're outside of it, you don't know all about it, and then once you're in it, it's huge. So yeah, I sourced properties with him for 18 months, sort of BRRs, HMOs in the North East. And then yeah, just kind of used that angle along with my photography background to go into social media last year.
How did you find the sourcing then? 18 months, it's a decent amount of time, so you'll have had a decent amount of knowledge by the end of it. How did you find it? Did you make any money?
Yeah. So obviously, when you're working with another business, it's kind of like it's a different way of doing it rather than doing it for yourself. So you don't make as much, but you get the training as well. But I loved it. Obviously, again, it's all the whole freedom aspect of working in your own time. But yeah, it is tough. At the same time, like you've got to be really motivated to do it. But I think if you get it right, it can be a really good way to get some good revenue.
it's a funny one, sourcing. It's a bit of a minefield, I think. And on the face of it, property sourcing seems very straightforward, it's almost money for nothing. I think a lot of people do see as sort of source of fee as money for nothing. But then when you actually do it, you're like, it's such a long-winded process, isn't it? You've got to find the deal, match it up to the investor, get all their paperwork and finances sorted, help them with that.
Yeah.
That's the easy bit, I think.
Yeah.
Then it's the conveyancing. You've got probably 12 weeks of chasing.
Yes. Yeah.
Setbacks, mortgages falling through. So it's not as simple as people think.
No, yes. So that's, to be honest, that's the part I struggle with was, although you can get paid good money, it's never really yours until someone gets the keys. Like you said, things can fall out of bed. And then obviously if things do happen, then refunds come into play and then it's trying to find the money to pay them back. And that's the most stressful aspect of it, for sure.
Yeah, so from there then, what made you go sort of 180 degrees into starting your own media company?
Yeah, so as I said, ever since I was kind of early 20s, I kind of knew that I was destined for something bigger than working for someone else. I just didn't know what that was. And then through meeting different people and working with business owners more directly, you kind of see that aspect of it. And then it was kind of like finding your path. And then I kind of came out of sourcing because, again, it was just, I think the money aspect is harder than people realise. And then I just had an idea of just starting social media for people in property. Had one trial account that started off pretty well. Then I got another on the back of a recommendation. She started to do really well. And then again, just the referrals just came in. And then it just grew from there. And then it was kind of a big risk to start with, to be honest. But it paid off. I think if the best way I found I've learned is by throwing myself in the deep end. You either make it or you don't. And luckily, it's paid off.
So was there a transition period? Was there an overlap? Were you still sourcing at the point at the time that you started Focus Point?
No.
So you
I'd
just
stopped. Yeah.
cut all ties with sourcing?
Yeah, so funny enough, it was the same guy that I worked for sourcing was the first client I had as social media. So
right.
There was no bad blood or animosity. It was just kind of worked best for both of us at the time. And then, it just went from there.
And you say that was on a trial basis?
Yeah, for a month.
Yeah.
See how we got on. Obviously learning the ropes at the same time. And it was the first 2 weeks were tough, trying to figure it all out. And then once I did, it's kind of progressed from there.
So you must have seen a gap in the market then for you to, you 18 months you're involved in property day in, day out. There must have been something that light bulb above your head thought, do you know what, people want this.
Yeah, because working for the guy that I worked for was kind of an eye opener because he saw the value in social media, so he posted every day
Lewis.
Regardless of what was going on, because he saw what could happen. I think he was on about 8,000 followers at the time, but he just persisted with it every single day. And then I kind of obviously from seeing the background, you can see the investors come through from social media to his business, which then helps drive things. But it's just having that motivation to know that it might not make you money directly, but in a few months' time it will. And then that was kind of like an eye-opener for me from that respect, yeah.
Well, that was great. I guess it took a lot of the risk out of it. The fact that, well, no, because the financial risk is there still because you've cut your income off.
Yeah.
But I guess the teething pains, a lot of them were taken away because you had Lewis already on a trial basis. The pressure was off a little bit. Then where did you go from there? Were you just filming with him once a month? Were you doing once a week? What were you?
So as Lewis was in the Northeast, we did twice a month content days.
Yeah.
So he was sourcing properties in Teesside, Hartlepool, Middlesbrough. Twice a month was enough for him. But anyone who's obviously as we've moved on, anyone who's outside the Northeast, it's once a month.
Yeah. So at that point, you were just following him around on his day-to-day sort of.
Yeah, so we had certain ideas. Obviously, he had some ideas anyway, so it's kind of a collaborative thing to start with. And then we go away, edit it, and then post it for him.
Yeah, brilliant. So where does that entrepreneurial drive come from? Is there anyone in your family that's had their own business?
No. My dad's worked in hospitality for the majority of his life. He's obviously been a hard worker. I've kind of got the hard work element from him. And obviously my family his family are in healthcare, but there's no one that's kind of doing what I'm doing. So when you explain it, it's a bit alien to them.
Yeah.
So just trying to dumb it down as best I can.
So where do you think that came from? Where do you think the drive came from to start your own business then, if nobody's done it in the past?
It's hard to say. I think, for a long time I was navigating. I felt a bit lost, to be honest. And then obviously you listen to podcasts, and it tends to be the business owners that give you the best self-development, and then they talk about running businesses, about how that can help your life. And it was like, okay, right, maybe this is an option. So I think it's just a combination of everything. I think I've always felt like I was different to people in the family, but I just didn't know how or why. I feel like this is it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of scary when you're younger, because I was the same way. I always thought, I'm so weird compared to the rest of my friends and family.
Yeah.
But now it's exciting. Now I like that.
Yeah.
I want to be as weird as possible.
Yeah, it's better than being boring. That's what I think.
Exactly, yeah. That's interesting. So, working with Lewis, and then how did you sort of try to build up that client base from there?
Yeah, so we did. He was really good, to be honest, at helping me grow, sharing my page or myself as much as he could, and then obviously success tends to give you a bit more traction anyway. So his page did start to grow, but it's funny because another client that came in grew before him.
Right.
So her page growing also helped with that. So they were both in the Samuel Leeds network. So people in that network would see me, and then people just came off the back of that, seeing success, and then who's doing that for them, and then we got a few calls booked in, and then it just went from there.
I guess those networks like Samuel Leeds, the Progressive Property, etc., they must be a great source of business, which like shooting fish in a barrel for you.
Yeah, that's it. It's once you break into them, it definitely helps. Definitely.
Brilliant. Okay, mate. So I want to deep dive now into the media side of property specifically.
Yep.
Given that it's a property podcast, I think people will get a lot of value from this conversation. So I guess it might be difficult to put into a nutshell, but how important is a social media presence today as a property investor or a business owner in your mind?
I think it's really important. I think if you probably go back 10 years ago, website was kind of the thing to have. But now if you think the people will look at an Instagram page before they check your website out, I think that just says in itself how important it is. And if people might not want to build a business, they might just want to do it for themselves, which is great. But if you think in the future that is your goal, that you want to raise capital or sell deals or sell courses, you need to have the evidence, which Instagram provides you that platform. So I think it's imperative, to be honest, that you have that.
So do you think the main thing here, the main metric is credibility? It's like an online CV almost, isn't it?
I would say so, yeah, because if someone was to look at your page, it's really hard to be able to look into the eyes of a potential investor or someone who's going to buy from you, but the first thing they'll see is how far they can go back. Because, say, there's another thing as well, like consistency and followers, another thing, but I think credibility is what's going to buy you trust, which is kind of, it's not something you can kind of replicate fast.
Yeah. So
having the evidence is key.
Yeah, and that's the case, I guess, with your own pages.
Yeah.
You are showcasing your work on there all the time, etc.
Yeah, of course. There are times, obviously, when you might not post as much as you want to do, but I've got. It's quite funny. Social media, people are scared of showing the clients because they don't want people to take them. But for me, I put it out there because people can see who you work with, and then the track record's there for itself.
That's interesting, yeah, because I guess my customers, people would look at my Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn. That nobody knows who my customers are. But you're openly showcasing to the world your customers.
Yeah, it's quite rare.
Yeah.
But for me, I think it's kind of, rather than people can ask and I'll tell them, but people don't always have to ask because they can see on my page who I've worked with before.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I guess on that, is personal brand a non-negotiable, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's such a really good way to showcase who you are. I think sometimes people try and go down the route of trying to be somebody else, but I think you've got to be yourself and getting yourself out there. But it is a skill. Like, to start with, everyone struggles with it, but it's just pushing past that. It's the same as everything. When you learn property, you start off being a novice, but then you get to an expert, after that. But it's the same with social media. If you start off at that level, you can always get. It's good to see as well when you look back. You think, oh, I've gone from there to there. Yeah. In terms of your own personality as well as your property journey, so it's really good to document that for yourself and for other people.
Yeah, it's like a marker of how far you've come. You look back, because that's something I'm terrible at. A lot of people say you should journal, you should be able to sit and analyse how far you've come in certain elements, certain areas of your life, which is something I don't do as much as I should anyway. Yeah. But yeah, I guess that's one way of doing it. I just don't like going too far back on my Instagram because my fashion sense and the haircuts, they weren't great. Probably not as great now anyway. But
I think you're doing all right, mate.
Yeah, but I think from social media and being on camera, I don't think anyone's a natural. No. Personally. No. I really, really struggled with it. I've only been doing it a couple of years. And I just felt so awkward when I first started out. Yeah. And you're thinking you feel like the whole world's watching you. But then you post a few videos and you get laughed at, and all my mates are sending me abusive messages because they're very supportive. And then you get to a point, which I'm at now, where I don't. Some of them I don't even watch back now. I'm not bothered. Okay. I'll watch it back initially when it's being recorded, but then I won't sit and analyze. What I'm saying is I won't sit and analyze them like I used to. Okay. And stress about it, because you just got to put yourself out there, haven't you? Yeah. Like you said, I think it's about consistency, and some of your videos are going to be crap. Yeah. And you are going to babble on and whatever, but it's like anything, you're just going to get better and better, aren't you?
100%, yeah. And sometimes you just never know what video is going to attract certain people. Again, it's a bit of a lottery sometimes. Like in terms of the algorithm, some might go off and some might not, but then someone might see a video and relate to it. Then that's what wins their trust moving forward. So you've just got to just push past it.
Yeah, so it could be the world's crappiest video, and you look terrible, you babble on, you stumble in your words, but you say one thing that connects with someone sat in London or whatever. Exactly. And they connect with you, yeah. So what makes a good, bit of a broad question, but what makes a good social media account in your eyes? If you go onto someone's Instagram page, for example, what are sort of the main things that stand out to you, as, for you to say, oh, this is a solid account?
Yeah, so to start with, obviously, the top is the bio. So you should know straight away from what's on the bio, who they are, what they're trying to do, and what they're offering. And then again, further down, in terms of the posts, it should be consistent. Because you can see, from my point of view anyway, you can see gaps when they've posted and when they haven't. So like you don't have to post every day. My suggestion is that you do, but even if you're posting 3 times a week consistently, that's better than posting 7 times, then 1 time, then 5 times, then 4. So just having that consistent sort of level of posting, I think is good. But sticking to kind of, everyone's got a niche. It can change, but centering around the niche is kind of important. So whether it's teaching, you can come at it from different angles, from humour, from education, from value, or statistics, whatever it is, but centered around that, I think is important. Whereas some people kind of go down home life, then it's property, then it's sport, then it's other stuff. That's kind of not really going to help you long term.
Yeah, okay, I get that, because a lot of people, and myself included, actually, do you think your personal life and your business Instagram, for instance, should be completely separate? Ideally.
It depends on how much you want to collaborate the two. I always suggest posting in a personal post every so often anyway, because again, it makes people relate to who you are as a person. But if you're going to post regularly, then I would have 2 different accounts. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I guess it is good for people to see who you are away from work. Yeah, because generally people buy from the person rather than the business, don't they? Yeah,
100%.
So I guess that makes sense. So you think one post a day is enough? Because a lot of people, Gary V and everything, they're promoting posting bloody 5 or 10 times a day. Like, who's got the time to do that?
That's it. So if that is your angle, obviously TikTok is fine for doing that. Instagram, it takes a while to get that built up, because say if you post once, Instagram knows you're only going to post once, so it'll push it out to as many people. But if you post twice, it's going to halve.
Is that right?
That post, yeah. Until it knows that you're doing it regularly, then it'll start to understand.
So is that the reason behind you saying the consistency is so important then?
Yeah.
Just purely because of that algorithm?
Yeah.
So what's the difference between, explain to me what's the difference between Instagram and TikTok, for instance, then?
So TikTok is, first of all, the content styles are very different right now. So Instagram is more short form, photos, carousels, whereas TikTok is long form, as you've seen on your posts. And TikTok is very good for someone starting because you can get so much more reach from one post, whereas Instagram you can go viral from a post, but it takes a lot more to get out there because it's based on followers and how your initial viewers react, which will base on your followers. So it's really hard to get out there straight away, but it's a good long-term platform. Whereas TikTok, you can go viral from day one, and then you can kind of put your Instagram link onto your TikTok, which then you can redirect them back to Instagram from there. So they are different platforms, but it just depends on what your goal is.
Whenever I hear anyone talk about social media,
Yeah.
they always seem to refer to Instagram as the holy grail. So like you just said, probably inadvertently there, you've just spoken about TikTok, but immediately you've said, but you can get people to your Instagram from it. Why is that? Why is Instagram ultimately the aim?
Because as a business owner, I think it's easier to sell from Instagram than it is from TikTok.
Why?
Because first of all, you can put links on. It's easier to have a conversation on Instagram. I think it's more personal than a TikTok message. And I just think from a layout perspective, it just looks better than TikTok does. So it
More professional, would you say?
Yes, yeah, I would say so. TikTok is kind of changing. Like you can put different cover photos on now to make it look a bit more presentable, which is good. But personally, yeah, from a business point of view, I think Instagram is the better way to sell. But it's just getting people to see your page.
And it seems to be becoming more and more difficult to do that on Instagram.
I would say so, yeah.
And why is that? Again, is it algorithm based?
Yeah, so they have changed what works. So again, I have conversations with clients all the time as to what the goals are, but right now, the short form content between kind of 4 and 10 seconds is what's getting the most views right now. I won't necessarily it's going to bring you many followers because it's hard to bring a lot of value into that time frame.
Yeah, space, yeah.
Whereas the longer form videos are what's going to get people watching longer and they can see the value, which then gets them to follow, but the views are going to drop. So maybe 2 or 3 months ago, the longer stuff was getting loads of views, which then gets you thousands of followers. But it's changed, and it will change back again. We just don't know when.
So is that, just from my understanding, because I'm green as grass with this type of thing, is that a conscious decision that Instagram have made?
Yeah.
They've literally sat in a meeting,
Yeah.
heads of Instagram, and gone,
Yeah.
right, let's change the algorithm. Let's get the shorter form stuff
Yeah.
to the top of the list.
Yes.
And why would they do that?
Because it's probably the best way for them to make money. Because if you watch something, because you, as you've seen, probably yourself, you might not have noticed it, but for every 3 posts that you go past, there'll be an advert. So if someone's watching a video for 6 seconds and they swipe to the next one, they're staying on the app.
Right,
So
okay.
they're going to make money from people swiping and then seeing adverts because people pay for adverts. So that's going to prioritize Instagram to make more money. So they want people swiping more to then, again, watch time is key for Instagram.
That makes sense. So why were they previously favouring?
Because
longer
they're probably
form?
monitoring trends with people. People's attention spans might be shorter now, which is why they're pushing that out there. That they've obviously got all the data. I don't know the reasons behind it, but that's just what's happening.
It's just interesting, isn't it? It's just,
Yeah, it's mad. Like sometimes I feel like banging my head against the wall sometimes because you want more views for your clients, but Instagram are kind of in control of what they're going to push out.
Yeah, so you have to have your finger on the pulse
Yeah.
all the time then, because you could set up a marketing plan for one of your clients, a 6-month marketing plan, which I'm guessing you don't because it's too long.
Yes.
And then the next day, Instagram changed the algorithm.
Yeah, well, we've had it before where we've done a content day with a client and then we've filmed all long videos, and then for that month, it's kind of the views do drop. They still get followers, not as many as they probably would have done, but they're still getting some return. But again, sometimes it's about building credibility rather than looking at certain metrics.
Yeah. And our attention spans are getting shorter, aren't they?
Yes,
There's no way around it.
No.
And there's certain apps which I've showed you, which I've got on my phone, which if I click on my Instagram or my TikTok, which I have to, I guess, because I'm creating content, so I need to go on there and see how I'm doing, etc. But even so, I've got an app called Screen Zen, I think it is, and you click on it and it says, "Is this important?" ? And I have to click to say continue. Even once I click continue, it still takes 6 seconds to count down. So within that 6-second period, it's strange. It's ridiculous, really, when you think about it. But in that 6-second period, you've got a chance to think about, is this important? Do I need to be on here? Or could I be far more productive by doing some work, perhaps?
Yeah.
Which is generally the answer is yes.
Yeah, so I listened to Mel Robbins' audiobook about the 5-second rule.
Yeah, I've read that.
So I think that's probably where it stemmed from, because it gives you that countdown to think, right, is this worth it?
Yeah.
There's to be some psychology there.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
That I've had to do that. But it's just a rabbit hole, and they know what they're doing. It's addictive, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, my TikTok and Instagram, it's purely business, gym, and property.
Yeah.
Those 3 items are literally the only things that come up. There's no cat videos or whatever. But even so, you fall into a trap of thinking you're being productive because you're watching something that's relative to your business.
Yeah.
But you're not.
No.
Like, me getting motivated from a business video is not going to help me in any way. That motivation is going to be fleeting, and 5 seconds later, I won't feel motivated.
Yeah.
But it's the dopamine hit, isn't it? It's the
That's it. Yeah. But then you probably forget the 3rd video that you last watched, and then it's this one.
100%.
Yeah.
And it
but
doesn't.
They know how to get you.
Yeah, of course they do. It's interesting you say TikTok's. You think of it as a long form platform now, because TikTok essentially was the first real short, sharp platform. So they've obviously changed their algorithms as well.
Yeah, as you've seen with your numbers on your own content.
Exactly, yeah. And it's incredible the numbers I've had on TikTok, the reach I've got on TikTok already, which is why a lot of people are going that way, I think.
Yeah.
I still can't believe I've got a TikTok account, by the way, just to talk about it out loud. But
I speak to some clients and they see it as like something alien to them, but I suggest it's a really good thing to have right now.
Yeah, I think it's because when TikTok came out, I think it was during COVID, wasn't it? And everyone was doing dances.
Yes.
And it was a TikTok dance, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I certainly won't be dancing. So what, in your mind, are the main objectives that can be achieved through social media?
I think whatever you want them to be. I think it's really important to know what your goal is before you come up with a content plan. So whether that is in property to raise finance, to sell deals, or to teach people, or just to provide value, whatever that is, your content plan kind of aligns around that. But then once you know your goal, it's right, how can we do that? So content is the first part. Then it's building a community. I think that's really, really helpful. It's kind of an underrated tool, to be honest, is engaging with other people in your industry. So 1, they know who you are, but then 2, they support you. So the more they engage or share your posts, it's going to help you reach. And then also speaking to people. Because a lot of people wait in the shadows and they probably won't do anything unless prompted, but they might want to buy from you. So we suggest building a sales conversation from as soon as someone follows your page. Not necessarily going like as a hard sell, but finding out what they want, who they are, and how you can help. And then from that point, you can kind of figure out if they're qualified to be a customer or just someone who shares your page or enjoys your content, whatever that is. It's kind of knowing who that is.
Do you find most of your clients have different objectives?
Yeah.
Or is there one objective that stands out the most? Is it raising private finance or?
Yeah, so I've got a few clients now who want to educate people, which I think is a massive field. But then I've had a few that want to raise finance. It's worked for them.
Right.
But yeah, it tends to be raising finance or educating people. I've got 2 that sell deals. So yeah, it tends to be one of those 3 is a common thing.
Because I find, I mean, it's great for monetization ultimately, but I find just from a networking perspective, Instagram's brilliant. I mean, I genuinely, I'll sit and chat to investors in Liverpool, Manchester, London, Dubai. And we've all got a common goal, and we're all essentially doing the same thing, using the same principles, just in different geographical locations. And it's great to just get advice off people.
Yes.
And then locally, on a more local level, it's great just to chat and recommend tradesmen to each other. And so I do want to grow my following to feed my businesses, etc.
Yeah.
But also just to grow my network.
Yes. Yeah. Again, it's a free way of networking, like you said. I personally would recommend spending half an hour a day engaging with other people, whether that's through comments, whether it's through DMs, whatever it is. Like, people put stories on. That's kind of more of a day-to-day feel. So if you see something that you think is great or you can offer advice on, I would always recommend speaking to people.
So you say, from a comment perspective,
Yeah.
is that just to so people visualization so people see you?
Yeah, it's a bit of both. So yeah, one, so they see you visible, but also people will kind of reciprocate what you do. So if you comment on their post, they'll comment on yours.
Yeah.
And it kind of builds like a two-way thing. So the more that happens, then whenever you post, they'll comment, which then drives more comments and just helps you out.
And again, is that when you're commenting, is that feeding an algorithm as well?
Yeah, so Instagram will look at a few things to know whether it's going to push your content out there. So as soon as it goes out, it'll send it to a target market of people. Now, whether they like, comment, share, or view it all, a combination of those things will then encourage Instagram to push it out to more and more people.
Right, okay.
So I can't say it's just down to just commenting, but it will help. Because as you've seen, like with clickbait stuff, people comment on it either hating or loving it. It's going to drive it out there. But what they don't realise is that the people who are commenting are making it worse because they're just pushing it out to more and more people.
Yeah, I know an investor in Manchester that you might know, and he'd heard somewhere that angry reactions to something drive the algorithm the most.
Yeah.
So he was literally getting his friends to put angry faces on the bottom of all his posts in the comments.
Okay, right.
And apparently for a short time it doesn't work anymore. But apparently it drove loads of traffic to his
Right,
page.
okay.
So he says, I don't know how true it is.
Okay.
But it's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I don't think that they'll be able to understand the tone of a comment. They'll just see a comment. So if there's loads, and then obviously people sometimes argue between each other, which is the perfect time because you don't have to get involved. You let them go away with it, and then it just goes and goes and goes. Yeah, it's funny.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I could start a few arguments, I think. Yeah. So is it about what the metrics? So is it about getting followers? Is it about getting likes? Is it about getting views? When you say look at my page just to see how I'm doing, what's the main metric that you're looking into?
So followers and views are probably the two I would look at. Likes is not necessarily something you can control. It's good to say that you've got the likes, but you can't decide if someone's going to like your post. Whereas someone follows your page, it's because they see value in what you do, and if they stay there, then it's obviously a better sign of what you're doing. And then views, again, it just shows your reach. Obviously, there's other factors from a business owner. If you're making money out of Instagram, that's kind of more important from my perspective than probably those two. But you need to bring people in. So followers to start with, and then views, both of those. Because people might view your content but not follow your page, but they might see it regularly.
Yeah, that's it. I remember when I first started posting about 18 months ago, I was getting maybe 20 likes on my videos. But then everyone I was speaking to, like, was saying, "Oh, I love your videos, David," and blah blah blah. I loved it when you said this. I loved it when you said that, and I thought I could have liked it.
Yeah,
and
I know. Yeah,
but looking back, it was just an ego thing. Like, it is. But so all these people watching it, but obviously they just weren't clicking like, even though they did like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's. But likes and shares, and so it's just stroking your ego, isn't it?
Well, shares is a good one because if someone shares it on your story, everyone who's going to view that story will see your stuff. So I think that can be a good one, but again, you just can't control it unless you put a call to action asking them to like it, then you can kind of get an idea as to who's watching till the end. But yeah, I would concentrate on followers and views first.
People talk a lot lately about hooks.
Yeah.
Online hooks, and I see a lot of videos on Instagram and YouTube, etc. And the headline is "Buy to Let is dead."
Yeah.
That's a commonly used one.
Yeah.
And then you click on it, and the video says, "No, it's not."
Yes.
Because I'm doing this, this, and this.
Yes.
Do you promote things like that? Bit naughty, but
it is. But you kind of got to do what you can to get people to watch. So negative hooks like that do work pretty well. I wouldn't necessarily suggest going off on a tangent with it, like having one hook and then completely going down the other angle. I think after a while, people are going to click on. But the hook is definitely the most important part of your content. There's like 3 different versions of it. There's the stuff on the screen, there's what you say, and then the caption underneath. So either one can be different, but it's just what's going to capture people's attention.
I'm finding anything, I think it's just because we had a general election and Labour and talking about raising taxes. I think tax is a real it's
pain point for people.
It is at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
You think a lot of the videos that are getting huge views on that I can see are centred around the tax rises that are coming, and landlords should be running for the hills. And but I guess negative news sells. It's always sold newspapers, so it's the same principle online, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So obviously when we were growing up, no one really watches the news anymore, but everyone used to watch it. There was very rarely any positive stuff, but people watched it all the time because, like I said, it is kind of negative. But yeah, you see there are trends with what people will talk about: tax, money, mortgages, especially people in property. That's what they want to see. So yeah, I agree.
On that subject,
Yeah.
what's the best way to recognise someone who's full of shit? The property industry is full of sharks.
Yeah.
It's an unregulated industry.
Yeah.
From a lot of perspectives. And you and I both know there's a lot of people online that are saying they've done things that haven't been done. And if you go on Companies House, follow their companies, it's quite evident that they haven't done anything like they're saying.
Yeah.
What's the best way to identify them?
So there's a few ways. Again, it goes back to evidence. Like you can see on someone's page what they've done in the past. Like I try and encourage people. They might want to just post reels all the time, which is fine. But again, you're posting reels, but you're not kind of showing. You could be stood outside anyone's property doing that.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
So you can on Instagram you can see 12 grid posts at one time. I would encourage someone to have one piece of evidence of what you've done inside them 12. So at all times, someone can see what you've done before, whether it's bought a property or been to an event or whatever it is. So that's one thing, evidence. And then also, you can see who they work with. So I would look at that and then maybe reach out to a few people who might have worked with them before and just see. Because I don't know if they've got Trustpilot or anything else, because normally people who are successful will have a place for people to review them. So I would look at that because if they are not genuine, like you say, I was going to swear then, not genuine, full of shit, they'll hide it as best they can.
Yeah, because I see so many property investors that I know have got 2 or 3 properties and they're mentoring and they've got an online course that you can sign up to, and I just think, oh God.
Yeah, I do see that more often, like people who've just literally maybe bought like 1 or 2 properties and then trying to educate people, and I'm not a fan. No. But each their own, I guess. But I think there are signs you can spot that they haven't had a massive amount of experience. But it's just identifying them.
Yeah. So success stories that you've seen then through your own work, what sort of levels are you pushing to, from 0 followers to up to what kind of levels are you seeing?
Yeah, so back when we started, there's been 2 that have had massive growth. I mean, it's hard to kind of replicate that at the minute, especially on Instagram, but TikTok you can. So we had one account went from 5,000 to 24,000 in 3 months.
Oh wow!
Just from 2 viral posts,
right?
Which was great. She's gone to work with someone else now, which I'm happy to say that obviously we worked together in the past.
Yeah.
And then obviously Lewis's went from 13 to 37, which again is great.
Yeah.
But for me, it's more of the business element. As much as I want to grow your page, I think it's a really good foundation to see. I want to make people money.
Yeah.
Because if they pay me, then they get money on the back of it. Then it's kind of like it pays for my services. Yeah. So I've got someone who educates. So she sells a few courses a month, which covers my fees. And again, we get investors through the door for other clients, which could be potentially it tends to be $3,000 minimum for a deal, which again more than pays for what I do. So the success is kind of measured in business terms, but then obviously it's hard to say that without growing the page anyway. But I find it hard to give a set number of what we can do as a guarantee, but growth is key for sure.
And have you seen a direct correlation? I know it's not going to be direct, it's not going to be a mirror image, of course, it's not.
Of course.
But when someone goes from 13,000 to 37,000, what has the resulting flow of business resulting from the social media following?
Yeah, so again, I encourage people to have lead magnets. So the the investor list for both clients grew massively. You're obviously going to get a lot more people who will waste your time or aren't going to be the people who want to buy from you. They just want information from you. But yeah, Lewis's investor list grew by a few thousand off the back of that. So he grew, but then obviously offered free guides and other stuff to attract people. Then his email list just went bigger, which then obviously means he sells more deals.
Yeah.
But also these people will then recommend other people. So say for every one person that might know 10, that's going to help your business no end.
Is it difficult to filter out the time wasters, the conversion, I guess?
It can be. It's just having the right systems in place. So as we spoke about before, like Calendly is great for people to book calls, but there's no way of, unless you have the right questions, they're still going to book a time slot, and you have to go through that to then pre-qualify people to know if they're worth your time or not. So it can be quite hard, but you can have forms and different things for people to answer to then know, right, this person is right for me. You can still be nice about it and say, unfortunately, I don't think I'm the person that can help you. I wish you all the best. But yeah, it's hard to have hundreds to thousands of people coming through your door and then being able to help them all.
Yeah, I guess you are going to spend a lot of time speaking to people that are never going to buy from you. I think it's just nature of any sort of sales-based business.
Yes,
isn't it?
yeah.
Unfortunately, so we've talked about Instagram, we've talked about TikTok a lot. The other two big platforms are Facebook and LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Nobody seems to talk about them.
No. So LinkedIn is a really personal platform. I think it's hard for someone to be paid to do that for you, because it is more of like this is what I've dealt with today. And plus, Reels don't work on LinkedIn. It's more static photos, talking about what's gone well, what hasn't gone well, how you can help people. It can be a really good platform if you know how to do it properly.
Can it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It just takes time to build that. If you have one post that goes right, the impressions can go crazy, and then off the back of that, it can go well. But again, it's just a different content style completely to Instagram and TikTok.
And Facebook?
Facebook, again, can be good. I think it's harder to get more reach. But it can be used, again, if you do it properly. But you can use up multiple platform like content styles on Facebook and still work. It's just harder to get the reach out there. Mm-hmm. But for some people, again, I think it's important to be on all, because some people will like one, but not the other. So if you want to try and reach loads of different kind of people, you need to be across, a bit like YouTube as well. Yeah. Some people.
Yeah, I was asking you about YouTube because that's obviously the ultra long format. Yes. I know they do shorts now.
Yeah.
Does YouTube still carry the same sort of weight these days?
Yeah. I would say so. Just from a personal perspective, I watch YouTube probably more than anything else.
I do, yeah. I use it as a search engine, actually, more than anything. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely growing. More people are, especially with the younger people these days, will watch stuff. And the amount of free resources on there now, compared to when we were younger, is incredible, really. Yeah. From podcasts, but people have gone from just audio podcasts to now video podcasts, and then, yeah, I think it's a massive market to get into.
I think from what I see from an outsider looking in, it seems to be, if you're going to make money on any platform, you can make huge money on YouTube.
Yes. Yeah, I would say so. I don't quite know that what the specifics are in terms of costs, but I think, yeah, a lot of creators are going onto that. It can be slow to start with. There's no doubt about that, and it's probably going to cost you more than you make. But if you break it, you're well away.
And so how are people making money directly from these platforms? So YouTube, for an example, because we're talking about it, is that money pushed from? So if I put an hour-long video on YouTube, the adverts that I'll see every sort of 10 minutes, that's where the money's coming from. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's the same as everything. Like adverts is what makes the brands money, which then they push down to the creators. Yeah. Some offer better sort of returns than others, but yeah. It's the adverts.
So how does Instagram integrate adverts into your posts? Because I've never really... I see adverts separate from people's...
Yeah, so they don't push them on your posts, but they try and... They want people to stay on the apps, so the ads get pushed. So they're going to push content out there that keeps people on there, that keeps them engaged. So then you watch that and you think, okay, I want another hit. Mm-hmm. And then another hit, advert. Same again. Advert, real advert, or bit of content.
And then they identify that your post has driven that traffic, and then
Okay. So if you think on a graph, if someone's for a longer video, you want to say between 40 and 60% watch time. So if it's 30 seconds, you want kind of between 12 and 18 seconds people to watch it. Whereas a shorter one, you can get, because it's 6 seconds, the percentage is going to be higher because someone's only going to watch 3 or 4 to be halfway through. But the longer someone watches it, Instagram's going to think, okay, people are finding this interesting. Let's keep pushing it out. Which is why you see at the minute the short videos. I saw a trend where people doing 1 second videos.
Really?
Yeah, they did like a background like ping noise with some random words on a screen, and then it just people got loads of views, but no one's finding it interesting. It's just from the kind of what's the word? The vain aspect of
The world's
having
gone mad.
10,000 views.
Yeah. What message can you get across in 1 second?
Exactly. This is my point. It's kind of what you want to do. Do you want to build value or do you want to get views? What is it?
That's it. And I think it seems to me, again, uneducated in this type of thing, but to monetize social media, drive customers towards your business, great. But to actually aim to make money from the platform directly, seems very difficult.
Yeah, I would say it is. Instagram is. I think TikTok is probably the best after YouTube for that. But you've got to be. I think there's different criteria you've got to meet to get on that. You can obviously sell stuff, which is one way of doing it. I think TikTok Shop is one way of doing it. But also, once you've got 10,000 followers, I think you can apply to be in the creator program and do it that way.
Yeah, I read the other day about TikTok's shop.
Yeah.
Its growth sort of mimics Amazon's growth at the same stage.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're saying that it's going to be literally a direct competitor.
Yeah, I can see that.
And it's purely because people are spending so much time on TikTok.
Yeah. But if you think on Amazon, you see a product, but you don't necessarily see it used.
No.
But TikTok, you've got the way to go, right, here's the product, this is what it does. And it's like, okay, right, I can see the vision for it now.
Yeah.
Whereas on Amazon, you go looking for something. Whereas TikTok, they're kind of putting it in your face. It's like a kid at Christmas, right? When you saw the adverts for toys, it's like, right, I want that.
Yeah.
TikTok's the same.
Great model. Fair play to them.
Yeah, yeah.
So we said that one of the main reasons property investors use social media is to attract angel investment. Is there anything specifically that I or other investors should be doing, do you think, to attract angel investment?
Yeah, I think the foundation is your evidence. So first of all, I would get the evidence before you start looking, and then like I've seen a few people lately actually start looking for it, which is interesting. Posting on stories, doing a post asking for finance, but I think you've got to look at it from the reverse angle of if they were going to look at your page, or if you had that much money, what would you look for? I think sometimes people lose sight of that. They think, oh, I'm happy with what it looks like, but they forget what someone else would think.
Yeah, okay.
So evidence is key, and then it's showing the deals you've got available.
And then how direct should you be with it? Because to see people, and obviously you know what they're doing, they're building up evidence, this is me or mine, and we use angel investors and they got this much money back.
Yeah.
Obviously it's indirect,
but
you still get the message across. Whereas others, they come on, they say, right, I want 100 grand, 10% a year, who's giving me it?
Yeah.
Which makes me cringe a little bit, I have to say. But they keep doing it, so they must be getting the investors.
Yeah, so I think it's down to what you're comfortable with. Now, everyone's got their own method of doing it. Like you say, there's so many different characters in property, but they all seem to do it their own way, and it works for them, which is going to attract different people. So it's just whatever you think is best, and then the right people will come on the back of that. It's kind of what works, what you're happy with, but also what works.
Yeah.
So it could be putting a story on, saying I'm looking for this much money with this much interest. DM if you're interested, or it could be a reel saying I've got this opportunity. This is how you can get involved. There's so many different ways of doing it, but it's just what you're happy with. But then also, if it works one way, it's kind of repeating it.
Yeah, I guess so. So one bit, if you could give just one bit of advice to a new property investor starting out today, and they came to you and said, right, Scott, I want a social media presence. I don't have a page.
Yeah.
What would that initial plan look like?
So posting at a regular level that's comfortable with them. Obviously, I'd find out where they're at in terms of the journey. If they've got evidence, like some have probably invested for a while but just not thought about Instagram, which is great because you've got all that hopefully all that stuff in the past that you can like post about. But if they haven't, right, it's showing your knowledge and who you are. There's various ways in which you do that. Obviously, Reels are great. There's different apps now where you can make it a bit easy for yourself to film, like auto cue apps and stuff, so you don't have to do multiple outtakes and just read off a script, But that's probably the way to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You
a
can
way
tell
to
when
start.
people are doing it, though.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see their eyes like twitching.
yeah.
I've seen people look like that before. But just get posting. That's it. And then from there, people will start to take notice of you. Engage with other people as well. Like there's no amount of time I would say is too much in terms of engage. Instagram might say, right, you're doing too much now, because they will track. Like they monitor like robot accounts and stuff. So if you're posting the same comment all the time, they're gonna know. But just speak to as many people and just post all the time, and then you'll figure out who the right people are to speak to in your industry, and also what posts are working moving forward. But yeah, you just got to build an evidence.
Yeah, I suppose that volume, I suppose the more you're posting,
Yeah.
the quicker you're going to learn, because
Yes.
you analytics of it all.
Yeah.
If you're posting once a week,
Yeah.
you can't really gauge what's working and what's not working.
It's just a mindset thing as well, because I think having the perseverance to keep doing it, I think is huge, because it's easy to give up because things aren't happening. But that's that people will be watching in the dark, as you've probably known, and they'll think, right, when are they going to stop? When someone always starts something, it's okay, so when are they going to stop? When someone goes to the gym, it's like, okay, after 2 weeks they give up. Right, okay, that's probably
true.
who they are. But with Instagram, it's the same.
Yeah.
So they'll be waiting. But then when you don't stop, like, okay, this person's serious. Because you can see, like, I saw someone the other day who put something about, they put a quote from Alex Hormozy about being consistent, but they posted that in March and they've had 2 more posts since then. It's like, okay, right. If I can see that, then other people can see
irony
that.
in that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So it's just, everyone's going to have rough days, but if you can still find a way to, but it's a representation of everything. So that's what people will see it as. So if you're giving up after 2 weeks, okay, if you're managing someone's money, what's going to stop you doing the same with that?
Exactly, yeah.
So it's just, having the mentality to keep
I see a lot of people that are just solely posting on the stories. They don't post reels or posts. What kind of weight does the stories carry?
I think stories is a really useful tool. So I personally wouldn't sell too much on a post, but I would sell in a story.
Why?
Because as soon as someone notices it's a sales post, they'll switch off.
Ah, right, okay.
Whereas on a story, like you could do a post, it could be with the intention of selling something, but then you sell with a poll on your story. So would you be interested in a deal like this?
Yeah.
Or are you looking to learn about this? Yes or no? Anyone says yes, then I message them. Because it's a bit of a softer approach. Whereas if you're on the screen, like a bit like what you said, here's this opportunity, I need 100 grand off you, you're going to be like, right, I'm not watching that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a different element.
Yeah, fair play. Mate, that's been brilliant. Absolutely brilliant insight. I've learned a lot from this, so I'm sure other people have. I want to go back to you now. What's the future look like for you? What plans have you got? You're obviously a very ambitious guy. Where do you see the business going?
Yeah, so obviously just to keep growing. I don't really know if obviously I want to stay working with people in property. I think it's a great industry to be in. I want to get involved, invest in myself, hopefully next year. But eventually I want to go off into other industries as well and have the team that are going to do that. But right now it's just kind of taking each month as it goes and then seeing where it evolves to. I've not really like pigeonholed myself into like a certain plan by this time next year. I just want to keep it growing and see what avenues come of that.
Yeah, I guess it's a very scalable business for what you do, as long as people are working to your standards.
Yes.
Geographically, there's no limitations for you, is there really?
No. And obviously the issue I found so far is kind of to replace myself is difficult because of the property knowledge. People want to work with me, which is obviously nice, compliment to have, but it's hard for other people to do what I do on content days, for example. So that's kind of why I want to go into other industries where people can specialise in without me needing to be there. Yeah,
I think that's an issue for any business owner, isn't it? You know, we all start off as one-man bands.
Yeah.
Your first customers get your undivided attention for however long it is, but there comes a time when there's just not enough hours in the day for you to, and you need staff, and you know it's a difficult transition. You do end up upsetting potential clients.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, your business can't grow if you're doing everything.
Yeah.
And as replaceable as my staff tell me every day I am, it is difficult.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how your journey goes. But I hope you do get back into the property scene, mate, and I hope you do start investing. I'm sure you will.
Yeah, that's definitely the plan.
But thank you for coming on, mate. It's been great, and look forward to continuing working with you.
Yeah, likewise, mate. Yeah, I appreciate you letting me on.
Okay, buddy. Well, if you are watching or listening online, please do like, subscribe, and follow. It really does help. Until next time, thank you. Take care.